rumors persist. Despite the length of our union, I have not presented His Majesty with a child. Why do they say such things? Let us examine the record. 6 wives, countless mistresses, 11 confirmed pregnancies. Yet only 4 children survived infancy. History has often told us the king's monarchy foundered because of the women. Catherine of Aragon could not bear a son. Anne Boleyn mocked his bedroom performance. Anne of Cleves failed to attract him. Catherine Howard was unfaithful. Catherine Parr was barren. But what if the culprit was never them? In a previous exploration, we delved into mystical curses plaguing the Tudors. But what if that curse was not spiritual? What if it was encoded within the very biological blueprint of King Henry VIII himself? What if the king, the man who executed wives, humiliated queens, and reshaped a nation, was the central tragedy hidden beneath the crown? Today, we uncover the truth behind Henry VIII's fertility crisis. We investigate why his ability to father children seemed to vanish in his final years. Welcome back to History Untold. I'm Alex, and together, we will unearth the hidden secrets of the past. If these narratives resonate with you, press that like button and become part of our community. Let us journey into the past together. May 15, 1536, the Tower of London. The air is cold. Stone walls encase a makeshift courtroom where George Boleyn, Viscount Rochford, stands accused of crimes so heinous they feel like poison to utter: treason, adultery with the Queen, incest with his own sister. The charges are absurd. Fabricatd by Thomas Cromwell and Henry VIII to eradicate the Boleyn family. George Knows his fate is scaled. This trial is a spectacle, a ritual to sanctify the king's will. The prosecution presents its case, built on the words of intimidated servants and tortured courtiers. Then they hand George a slip of paper. The instruction is implicit: read this silently, answer yes or no, and proceed. But George Boleyn, with nothing left to lose, defies them. He reads the paper aloud, his voice echoing in the silent hall. Ensuring every noble ambassador and witness hears what was meant to be suppressed. The accusation that he and his sister Anne had discussed the king's most private affairs, that they had gossiped and laughed about Henry's inadequacies in the marital bed, that the Queen herself had confided in her brother about the king's lack of vigor or virtue as a husband. The courtroom erupts in shocked murmurs. This was beyond treason. It was the ultimate emasculation of a monarch who had constructed his identity on virility and power. George had taken Henry VII's deepest shame and made it public. Whether Anne truly spoke those words is lost to time. But because George uttered them aloud, refusing to let the accusation perish in silence, it survived. It traveled through ambassadorial dispatches, court gossip, and historical archives, persisting for nearly 5 centuries. 4 days later, on May 19, 1536, Anne Boleyn was beheaded. George had been executed 2 days prior. Within 11 days of Anne's death, Henry married Jane Seymour, desperate to prove his potency remained, that the defect had never been his. But the fissures were already visible. To comprehend Henry VII's fertility crisis, one must understand his obsession: sons. Not a single heir, but a multiplicity. A dynasty required them to consolidate power and project strength. Henry's father, Henry VIII, seized the crown on the battlefield at Bosworth in 1485, concluding of civil war. The Tudor line was new, precarious, built on conquest rather than ancient legitimacy. A single failure in succession could plunge England back into chaos. Therefore, when the 17-year-old Henry VIII married Catherine of Aragon in June 1509, the mandate was immediate: produce male heirs. By September, SHE was with child. The realm rejoiced. On January 31, 1510, SHEMISCRRIED a baby girl. Disappointment but not despair. They would attempt again. By autumn, SHE was pregnant once more. On New Year's Day 1511, Prince Henry was born, healthy, robust, perfect. The heir was secure. For 52 days the kingdom exulted. Then, on February 22, the infant prince died. Sudden, inexplicable, Tudor medicine could only attribute it to divine will. The cycle of hope and tragedy, ACCLRATD. September 1513, a premature stillborn son. November 1514, a boy who lived only minutes. 3 sons 3 deaths. Whispers began. In a patriarchal world, blame fell upon the woman. Was the queen cursed? Was God angry? A reprieve arrived on February 18, 1516. A healthy daughter, Princess Mary. But a daughter was not the prescribed heir. England had no precedent for a sovereign queen. A final pregnancy in November 1518 ended with a stillborn girl. Catherine, now 33, never conceived again. 6 pregnancies in 9 years. Only one surviving child, a girl. Henry's affection curdled into resentment. Then in 1519, a catalyst. A teenage mistress, Elizabeth Blount, bore a healthy son. Henry did the remarkable. He publicly acknowledged the boy Henry Fitzroy, Bstowngtitles and wealth. This was a deliberate declaration. He could father sons. His seed was potent. The problem, HECONCLUDED, must reside with Catherine. This belief ignited the cataclysm. Smitten with Anne Boleyn, Henry sought to annul his marriage. When the Pope refused Henry a millennium of faith, he broke from Rome, declared himself supreme head of the Church of England, dissolved the monastres, and altered the nation's soul, all in pursuit of the sons and wold bear. They married secretly in January 1533. By September, Anne delivered a daughter. The future Elizabeth I. Henry's disappointment was palpable, but hope endured. In 1534, Anne appeared pregnant again, but the pregnancy vanished from record, a likely miscarriage. Her final pregnancy ended in catastrophe on January 29, 1536. SHEMISCRID, a male fetus at approximately 15 weeks. She blamed the shock of a near-fatal jousting accident suffered by Henry 5 days prior. But for Henry, it was the final proof of Anne's failure. He now saw her not as a promise, but as a deception. A woman who had bewitched him into overturning his world for nothing. Her fate was sealed. By May 19, SHE was dead. Henry, now 45, quickly married Jane Scymour. His health was deteriorating. The old jousting wound in his leg festred, causing chronic pain and mobility issues. His once athletic frame began its descent into obesity. Yet with Jane's success, in October 1537, SHE bared a healthy son, Prince Edward. The dynasty, at long last, was secured, but the victory was bittersweet. Jane died of postpartum complications 12 days later. Critically, Edward was Henry's last child. At 45, while not youthful, Men of his era often fathered children into their 50s. Why did Henry's line end here? The evidence, unfolds in his subsequent marriages. Anne of Cleves, married 1540. The union was never consummate. Henry completed disgusted him, telling his physician she stirred no desire in him. He even insisted he experienced nocturnal emissions that same night as proof his body functioned. The fault was her unattractiveness. Yet no contemporary source save Henry's describes and as unpleasant. The more plausible conclusion. Henry, facing impotence, projected the blame onto his wife to shield his fragile masculinity. Catherine Howard, married 1540, young, vibrant, and presumably fertile. Yet in nearly 2 years of marriage, she never conceived. This strong implies the issue lay with Henry, whether due to infrequent or unsatisfactory intimacy, or diminished fertility. Catherine Parr, married 1543, intelligent, mature, and childless in 2 previous marriages, 2 ailing husbands. She had no children with Henry during their 4-year union. After his death, she remarried and promptly became pregnant, proving her own fertility. The obstacle, it seemed, had been the king. The pattern is clear. After 1537, Henry's ability to father children ceased, but this does not explain the earlier tragedies. Catherine of Aragon's 6 pregnancy losses, and Boleyn's miscarriages. For that, we must turn to modern medical hypotheses. The diabetes theory. Henry's later obesity, leg ulcers, and mood swings fit. Diabetes can cause erectile dysfunction, explain his later impotence. But it does not explain the repeated fetal losses suffered by his earlier wives. The syphilis theory, a popular Victorian-era diagnosis, but it holds no water. Neither Henry nor his wives' or surviving children displayed the hallmark symptoms. His mistresses went on to have healthy children with others, making a contagious STD highly unlikely. The genetic theory, kell or Rh incompatibility. This is the most compelling explanation for the pattern of losses. If Henry possessed a certain blood antigen, like kell positive, and his wives did not, it would trigger a devastating immune response. How it works. The first pregnancy might proceed normally, but during childbirth or miscarriage, the mother's blood mixes with the baby's, sensitizing her immune system against the father's antigen. In subsequent pregnancies, her body would attack those fetuses as foreign, leading to late-term miscarriage, stillbirth, or neonatal death. This fits Catherine of Aragon's history perfectly. An early loss, then a string of failed pregnancies. Princess Mary's survival could be explained if she inherited her mother's blood type, thus avoiding attack. It also fits Anne Boleyn. Elizabeth's birth could have sensitized her, dooming subsequent pregnancies. Women with only 1 pregnancy by Henry, like Bessie Blount and Jane Seymour, would not have developed this sensitization, allowing for a single, successful birth. This theory paints a tragic picture. Henry's blood, the very essence of his royal lineage, may have been a silent killer of his own heirs. Finally, we must consider the psychological burden. Henry's later impotence was likely a confluence of physical ailment and crippling anxiety. The shame of his failure with Anne of Cleves, the chronic pain from his leg, the omnipresent stress of kingship, and the fear that his body, the instrument of dynastic security, was betraying him, created a vicious cycle. The mind can inhibit the body as effectively as any disease. The grand irony is severe. Henry VIII spent his life, and DCIMATD numerous lives in a fanatical quest for male heirs. He blamed wives, excuted rivals, and tore a country asunder. Yet the greatest threat to his lineage likely resided within his own biology. His ultimate legacy was not a robust line of Tudor princes, but the daughters he once spurned, Mary and, especially, Elizabeth, who would become one of England's greatest monarchs. The curse was not supernatural. It was likely genetic. Henry VIII, in a cruel twist, both perpetrator and victim of a tragedy written in his blood. What is your perspective? Do you find the genetic explanation persuasive, or do you favor another theory? Share your thoughts below. If this investigation into Henry VII's hidden struggle captivated, please show your support with a like and subscribe for more untold historical narratives. For another revelatory story from the annals of history, explore the link on your screen.